This resource covers using the learning progressions to sequence activities. The learning intention for this module is to be able to use the learning progression resources to plan a sequence of activities that progresses learners towards meeting the literacy or numeracy demands of a target vocation. For the purposes of clarity, we will briefly recap a task that was mapped in the resource using the learning progressions to map tasks. This image represented a typical task of employees working within a busy warehouse. They were required to take a stock count of all of the overalls of various colours on the pallet. In the previous resource we worked through, we mapped this task at step 5 of the learning progressions. By using the learning progression framework in the make sense of number to solve problems strand, we were able to take an outcome statement directly from the step 5 multiplicative progression. The learner will solve multiplication problems with multi-digit whole numbers using partitioning strategies in the context of inward goods. By identifying the target skill in the learning progressions, we can turn to the organizing table and develop a sequence of activities to take our learner from their current assessment score to skills appropriate with their target vocation. This then can be written into the form of a plan. The plan will simply organize our teaching instruction over time to take us from the learner's current step, in this case step 3, through to the appropriate skill for the vocation, in this case clearly stated at step 5. Now there are many ways to write these plans. This is an example. Along the top we have our outcome statement, again developed in the previous clip, using the learning progressions to map tasks. This outcome statement is taken directly from step 5 of the learning progressions. We want our learners to solve multiplication problems with multi-digit whole numbers using partitioning strategies in the context of counting stock and inwards goods. We have 3 activities that are designed in a sequence taken directly from our organizing table. This begins with a discussion where we apply a range of strategies to solve a multiplication problem. This will be supported with resources, and we're going to use examples of boxes with various quantities and so on. This comes directly from the resource Understanding Multiplication, found on page 35 of the resource book, which is entirely appropriate for a learner at step 3. Now once we're sure the learner has learnt what they are supposed to, we then move to number 2. Partition and recombine numbers to multiply multi-digit numbers with single digits. This is taken directly from the Multiplication Strategies activity found on page 39 and is suitable for learners at step 4. The resources are sticky notes, learner examples, and so on. And then we move to number 3, being sure that the learners have learnt the skills in that second activity. We want them to mentally partition and recombine double-digit multiplication sums. This is taken directly from the Multiplying Options activity in page 43, and this will include sticky notes, palettes with boxes, and learner examples. Just to re-articulate that, each of those activities that form the sequence of the plan are taken from the learning progression organizing table found in each of the resource books, in this case found in Teaching Adults to Make Sense of Number to Solve Problems. And as you can see, we've transitioned from step 3 through step 4 to step 5. And it's these activities that we've written into our learning plan. Now, a couple of key points about this learning plan. This learning plan will be suitable for all learners at step 3, doesn't need to be written for each individual learner, provides a plan for you to sequence activities which are going to develop the step 3 skills, step 4 skills, and then step 5 skills. An example of how these are integrated into your practice will be included in the following clip. Now, to provide a second example of how you might sequence learning activities, here's an example of an authentic retail task that staff members had to do. They were asked to mentally calculate the price of clothing items with a discount. For example, what is the price of a $120 jacket with a 30% discount? It was a numeracy learning goal of a retail program to develop this skill in the learners. Most of the learners had scored step 3 on the learning progressions. Here is the actual learning plan that was used within the retail program. And while it's a little bit complex, it's good to have a look at to see how it worked. They identified the demands of the task at step 6 of the make sense of numbers strand, and they articulated this as an outcome statement to solve multiplication problems with percentages using partitioning strategies in the context of identifying the sale price of discounted items. They went back to the organizing table and they sequenced the activities across the strand. So therefore the first activity was discuss and apply a range of strategies to solve a discount problem. And this was taken directly from the understanding multiplication activity found on page 35. They then moved across the learning progressions to the knowledge side and used an activity to introduce whole number place value concepts using the whole number place value activity found on page 76. They then returned to number 3 to a multiplicative strategy, partitioning and recombining numbers to multiply multi-digit numbers with single digits. This was taken directly from the activity in the book 39 and was appropriate for learners at step 4. They then moved across again to place value, and they used the activity decimal number place value found on page 78 to develop the learner's understanding and knowledge of the decimal place value, pivotal skill for developing percentage knowledge. Finally, number 5, they moved to mentally partitioning and recombining double-digit multiplication sums, which was a direct activity multiplying options found on page 43. And in this way, they transitioned the learners from step 3 skills through to step 6 skills. Now, it should be noted that this process took a long time, was planned to take place across the length of the course, and also ensured that most of the learners understood the learning points from each activity before they moved on to the next. It should also be noted that the activities were not single classes or lessons, but were distributed over the range of the course. For example, number 3, partition and recombine numbers to multiply multi-digit numbers with single digits. This particular activity was carried out over 2 weeks. Now, many tutors have asked if they're expected to write a wide range of these particular learning plans, and the answer is no. Part of the mapping process is to identify the high priority areas of need. In the example of the retail course, being able to mentally solve discount problems was a priority. What we recommend is selecting 2 high priority numeracy outcomes, 2 reading outcomes, 2 speaking and listening outcomes, and 2 writing outcomes. But of course, this is highly variable and depends on the context of your particular course. What has found to be successful is focusing on a particular skill set and doing it well, rather than attempting to do all things.